It is very exciting what's happening because people are connecting all over the planet.
Yeah.
And we're all a part of that. And who knows where it's going to all lead? You know, eventually.
It's people are waking up by the thousands. Just last night, I was talking to a gentleman, Vietnam veteran, who had served during the same time that my dad and Dave Corso had served. That's a long other story. I don't know if I told you that my dad and Dave served with each other.
Yeah, I know. And there's like so many synchronicities.
Yeah.
That is so. I mean, that's completely bizarre. Not only are you connected to Corso and Duncan, but your father is connected to Corso at least. And I mean, that in and of itself is just like, where does this come from? This is so bizarre.
Well, as far as my family, it's absolute bloodline. I mean, I just recently got some information that I have not yet confirmed, but I did get some fairly good information that my grandfather, who died under mysterious causes, no autopsy, no funeral, was a high military or government member in some aspect of Operation Paperclip, who was one of the officials that was assigned in relocating the German Nazi scientists. No, I'm not.
That's well, that actually points to why you may have ended up where you did.
And my father and my sister.
Right, yeah, your sister.
But I have no knowledge of if my older brother was at all. I don't think he was, but I do fear that he may be drawn in because of his direct connections with NASA, and he's climbed up the ranks in the scientific field. You know, he was diagnosed with autism as a kid, but his IQ is off the charts, and you know, he is 32 now, and he's got his like PhD in astronomical physics, nanotechnology. He works at Lamar University. He's the youngest novice curator of the Houston Astronomical Society. He also runs 5 different observatories and rubs elbow with top NASA individuals.
Okay, but I have to say that indicates that he is part of the whole scene.
Yes, I do agree.
He may not,
but he may not know it.
You know, maybe there aren't. You know, maybe he hasn't been really, populated in terms of some of the ways that you have buried memories, etc. But what you're telling me about his background is just unequivocal. He, especially, actually, believe it or not, with autism.
Yes.
Because autism is sort of a marker that they use.
Project 13.
Yeah, we were talking about that. And let's talk about that, because
Sure.
That'll be really fascinating.
And I think I don't know if I mentioned you that I have absolute confirmation that my sister has 3 children. The oldest one, Baden, is a contactee. Absolute.
Yeah.
But I can tell you what my sister actually witnessed and saw him do. We can talk about that another time, but It is absolutely amazing. I did let Miriam Delicato know, and I told her what my sister had said. Miriam, of course, said, this child needs to be protected, be careful who, and then I explained, to my sister what Miriam had said. So,
Well,
things are...
That's actually a good thing.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be getting my sister in contact with Miriam.
Cool. Very good. I wasn't actually sure how to categorize you. Not specifically a super soldier that I know of, but maybe, and you know what I'm saying? I wanted you to categorize yourself. And
Sure.
So why don't you just go ahead, introduce yourself, and basically explain not only who you are, what we're briefly, like your credentials, whatever you
Absolutely.
call that, but then also say why you're coming forward at this time.
Okay. Well, my name is Aarom McCollum. I was born September 6, 1978. And I was in the military. I served in the United States Coast Guard for just roughly 10 years, right at the 10-year mark. And I was involved in many different Black Op projects all over the world, and even many stateside. I had climbed up the ranks very quickly to where I became a team member of a first-of-its-kind unit in the Coast Guard, which is known publicly, but a lot of the operations they do, or most of what they do, are not well known. If I had to classify myself, excuse me, it would be that I'm third-generation project talent, and because of the bloodline I came from, I was given a lot of responsibility and saw a lot of things, and even since that time have been called back for specific operations.
Okay.
I mean, to really explain who I am would be good for the more extended interview to really explain that. But obviously, I'm coming out today for the first time, really publicly, to explain about information that I have through absolute reliable contacts, which I cannot name for their safety, but involving what's going on in the Gulf of Aden in Yemen. Specifically, what the global leader are doing, and the StarGate, which is absolutely real. It's not fantasy, which, like Kerry, you and I have talked about many times, things you see in movies are put there as a ruse to automatically give this label of fantasy, science fiction, so that people will not dig in anymore and they'll live in their little world of it's make-believe.
Okay, that's great. So you were a member of the Coast Guard, but you also ended up not only working in these sort of teams of special ops units, for lack of a better title, but you were the leader. Isn't that true?
Yes, and Project Talent has really two sides. They have the people that never were in the military, civilians, but worked directly in the military, even sometimes wear military uniforms, but never went to boot camp. They have their own side of that. Duncan, for example, Duncan O'Finian, who never really went to boot camp, but, was absolutely Project Talent. Then there are people like me. This is where it gets a little complicated. I did not choose the branch of service. When I was 16, certain individuals, agents, came to me and told me which branch of the military I was going in and when it would happen. So I already knew 2 years before joining. So I was in the military. I got regular military training, but at times when I would be temporarily assigned, it was called TAD, temporary assignment duty, to other units, I wasn't actually doing what was known by my commanding officer or whomever at the time. I was actually increasing my training that I had started when I was very young. So I wore two hats. There was times when I was Petty Officer McCollum, worked my way up to being, a chief engineer on ships and doing special op rescue, drug interdiction, whatever. And then I had the other hat where I was just an agent. No name, no denomination of rank, nothing.
So when you say you're doing that, are you meaning that you, you would not carry any papers of identification on you?
Absolutely not. No ID. Couldn't even wear a watch. Nothing.
Okay. And on those assignments, is that where your sort of buried memories are coming back in regard to those assignments?
Honestly, it's happening on both sides because, like I said, it's kind of complicated, but let me try to explain as best as I can. I did a lot of operations where I just wore my Coast Guard hat, and I was, Petty Officer McCollum,